pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting come to order.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
No.
All in favor of the agenda as printed, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Agenda has been approved. We'll open up for public comment, public input. Seeing none, we'll close that. We'll go to the minutes from April 7th. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Second.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye.
Move to approve the claims and authorize the auditor to issue checks.
Second the motion.
Any additions or corrections to those? Seeing none, all in favor of the claims, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. I don't have any personnel additions or corrections. So we'll go down to the review and authorize board chair to sign amended annual municipal solid waste sanitary finance assurance form. There has been a correction on it, so.
Correct.
Do I hear a motion to discuss that?
Move to.
I move to approve.
Second by Dewey. Corey had the move. What was the change?
So on our audit, there were two spots that referenced the closure fund, and one of them had not been updated from last year's number. It was just a
Okay.
lot of pages to update, and one got missed. So
Great. Anything else? All in favor of the chair signing the financial assurance report form, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. The chair will sign that. We will go to committee reports.
I did not have any.
Mr. Chair, I had opioid meeting last Friday morning. Got an update from Pathways. The Terra bags for drug disposal, they went through their allotment. They're getting with Lindley to get some more, so it's good to see those moving through and being utilized to take expired and old medications away, possibility of use or abuse. Did have a good talk with Lindley afterwards with Santana submitting a resignation, kind of what moving forward looks like, so there'll be some Board of Health direction on that discussion coming up, and possibly some conversation coming back to the Board of Supervisors. Just the turnover in help is just concerning. It's kind of a repetitive cycle. And then we have tree planting coming up April 29th for the memorial tree for West Hickok, and then the other trees revegetating the front courtyard lawn. Working with Shelley, I've got a draft. I've got a review with her to put notice out in the paper on that. And then Paul Cheville from Trees Forever had suggested that since it is a county event, we should probably invite all the mayors from the communities. So I was going to draft a letter this week for that. We can review it next week, make sure we have everybody that needs to be connected with, and then I can send out Tuesday after the meeting next week. So I'll have that stuff prepared for next week's agenda. The planting will be at 1 p.m. The memorial tree ceremony will be at 1 p.m. on the 29th with the rain date of the 30th.
And mayors is just really a photo op that you don't want them to assist because there's not that many trees, correct?
Correct. I think we'll probably do a photo op down to like the commemorative oak from the acorn from City Hall. I think that would be our best. The write-up and story with that would be, make sense, like, from a county perspective. And we do that probably shortly after the memorial recognition of the tree for West. So we'll do that memorial at 1 o'clock, and then we can do kind of a separate photo op shortly after that for the tree planting as a project in itself.
Sounds good. For myself, once again, it's workforce development. Northeast Iowa is looking at entertaining an option with merging in with Cedar Rapids area. So they lost their administrator, and knowing that dollars are getting tighter and tighter, we would look at that to preserve program funding and to reduce administrative costs. So that was the workforce development. For Eldora, they're getting closer on the 2080 agreement. Once again, we would have to have a dollar per person, so around $20,000 to buy in. And they are still looking at an exit dollar amount. So, I asked some questions on that because the way it was written, I couldn't really tell how much we would owe if we had to exit. So they're going to talk about that. Hopefully they'll talk about that. So that was my really only two things. So,
Mr. Chair, I had a couple of things that not board or committee related, but Kip Ladegi called me, lose track of time, last week, within the last 10 days anyway, and talked to me about Google. The company is investing in a bunch of water projects throughout the United States, and there are dollars available on a 70-30 cost share for watershed water improvement projects. I think he talked to you, Andy, he said, and he talked to maybe Landon or somebody else at the county level. So if you know of any projects, either any of the cities, or I pointed out that I thought Reedland was doing something with their drainage sewage system, but I didn't know when, and he was gonna get ahold of Mayor Wiedemeyer over there. So just, the funding range is $350,000 to $6 million per project. So this would include dollars for possibly any drainage district money we may have needed, but that may have been difficult to massage that in timeline and such too. So
It sounds like it's a pretty quick turnaround as far as needing kind of projects and intent by this month, I think.
yeah,
shovel-ready projects.
yeah. Well,
At
Doesn't
least
need to be.
ideas.
doesn't need to be shovel ready, but it's got to be something you can put together very quickly and get planned. So the other thing I had is I had a farmer that I met with and discussed some drainage issues. I think we came to a good resolution there. So that's it.
Great. So he's on our watershed. Kip
Correct.
is, so I assume he bubbled it up to the Wapsipinicon.
Yeah, and I'm going to forward all of it to Cassandra and Shelley and you too as well.
Dewey, did anybody talk with Ron Lent about that?
I can't say the answer to that question. I'll include him in the email here.
I just think it'd be a great opportunity, if there's any more locations we could consider a bioreactor, how successful that project has been. It would be incredible to see a few more in our watersheds.
Yeah, I've talked to Ron about that in the past, and I just don't know if there's great opportunities or a lot of excitement for
They
it,
take
but,
some,
you know.
they take some space, and so maybe there's just
Right.
not the buy-in from the landowners.
Several of them, not in Bremer County, but where they've done them, have found opportunities to do them at the edges of fields rather than kind of where, the one in Bremer County is kind of at the edge of a creek bed. Getting great results, 10 years later, but still it does take a unique geographic spot for them, so.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe having Ron in that conversation would be very helpful.
Okay,
Awesome. We'll wait 5 minutes and we'll.
Wait my turn.
Andy, you got any new board members coming today?
No.
They were invited, right?
Well, I guess I didn't really say anything to him about them for our updates like this usually, but
Well, since you're doing the annual report, that's the only reason.
oh. No, I hadn't said anything to him. We generally just kind of go over this, and our board's approved it, so it's kind of look it over and file. And,
I don't believe anybody's ever come in the past.
Mhm.
That I remember.
They're always welcome.
yep. Oh yeah, they're always welcome.
Most of them still have jobs, I think, don't they?
Well, we're only getting a few with jobs anymore.
Well, yeah, I guess Kevin's retired.
Kevin's
now, too.
retired. Stacy retired from teaching.
Oh,
So Mandy and Patty,
okay.
because Scott's retired too. So
Grass is growing for sure.
oh, this heat's gonna help it too.
I'm gonna have to mow this weekend.
It's getting there.
I put 150 pounds of fertilizer on a week before Thanksgiving.
So you are green.
I'm mowing.
So you get excited about that, huh?
I like mowing.
Yeah,
Gets me out, gets me doing something.
yeah.
So after hearing that, Northwoods next year. you probably
He needs
start-
a
Hey.
part-time job.
I actually might be interested in that. Yeah.
Campground host and
I don't know. Remember, I'm camper. I am not gonna be a host and
yeah.
spend my time waiting on people like me.
Yeah, we are going to be looking for a host this year. The folks that have done it the last few years decided not to this year, so going to try to find somebody for out there.
Well, that might be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I know like to go places, don't, from town, they don't.
It's understandable.
2 miles or a mile and a half.
Yeah. And they still would have some flexibility to be able to go on, well, especially if they were retired or something and wanted to get away on the weekdays and stuff. It'd be some pulling back and forth if they wanted to camp
Right.
at different places, but you wouldn't have to stay out there 24 hours a day all week. Landon,
I'm here for the show.
about ready to get started. Did you hear any more on that tile issue at Tahoe? And
No, I hadn't heard more.
All right, we'll start back up again. We have Andy Hawkinson from our conservation, Bremer County Conservation. Andy, I'll turn it over to you. We got a report to review.
yep, so every year we file our annual report for the activities that and budget numbers that we went through the past 2024-25 season. So there's quite a bit to it, so I definitely won't go through everything, but we just talk about our board member roster, the meetings held. We held our regular 12 meetings, no special ones this time around, and then our staff roster throughout the year, where we had a few changes with some new and ones going on to do different things, and then our seasonal workers Then we talked land acquisitions. We didn't have anything new this past year except annual lease for our office property at Trapola, and area inventory of acres and number of areas that we have. So some of the projects that we completed throughout the year listed on there: the disc golf baskets at Northwoods, the boat ramp at North Cedar, replaced a few doors on some buildings. Concrete floor in the Cedar Bend shop was a really nice addition, and then replacing that walk bridge at Walkin, and now able to cross with the mowers bridge at Wilson Grove with the box culvert sections that secondary roads helped out with, which is a really nice one to get taken care of. Equipment wise, we purchased a stump grinder attachment for the skid loader, chainsaw, the zero turn mower. Had gotten a few extra kayaks and paddle boards with help from the Bremer County Nature Alliance. Cooperative agreements. Hunter education classes, working with the Nature Alliance. Continued on with Bird Friendly Iowa community designation. We had volunteers that helped with the disc golf course layout and some of the framing for the tee pads. And then we had began working with and planning for different projects that the Cedar Valley Habitat crew was working on, or planning on working on throughout the year, which is a list of Hawkeye Community College students, the instructor, and then some of the surrounding counties put together projects. Last year they would have started in the fall, so we were planning for those, and we've got more projects planned for this upcoming year. With for our projects, we're looking at continuing with the trying to remove brush out of the A.F. Miller Preserve at Northwoods. It's a really mucky, hard-working spot, and we had the Conservation Corps of Iowa and Minnesota help with that last November, and we plan on continuing with that with this group from the surrounding counties and the community college. So that'll probably be back later in the fall again this year, so we can keep whittling away at brush removal there, because you really can't get any equipment into it. It's just too wet, so it's all hand and dragging and
Would that
pretty
help
tough.
Would that help that one pond that is so unsightly and green all year long?
This would be in a different spot, so not.
So what
not
could be
really.
done with that spot?
I think it's just the
There's
water.
no water flow through there. right?
The water doesn't move through there very well. Them are old kind of pits essentially, so they just don't get a lot of good flow, and the fish are still in there. They're still decent fishing. And
I'm talking about the one right in the park.
oh, down below.
Right.
Down below it,
that's
the oxbow.
Between the upper level and the lower level, is there any way to change the flow so that you can get water going through there? That didn't used to be like that.
It was never. That was the original, basically river channel, I believe, and then it was turned into the oxbow where it's not flowing through there.
And what was
anymore.
the reason for that?
I think just the river itself changed.
Did it itself?
Yep, and caused that to be landlocked basically. And I was trying to think. It seemed like there was something that we did back in the 80s or something. I think there was maybe some work that was done on it, but I don't remember to kind of just solidify that as an oxbow and not just have it dry up basically. But I don't remember, though. I don't know the reasoning or what all led to that at the time. I could try to do some digging, but that just gets that kind of duckweed on top of it that just looks unsightly. Yeah. but it's serving that oxbow purpose for the amphibians and other wildlife that are utilizing that. And now the disc golf course, you do throw over that little section, but I'm not sure what it would take to do a little more flow in there at this point without looking into that more. But this would be on the other side of the campground.
Yeah, it's in
And then
the
it's-
actual Adolph Miller,
Yep,
AF Miller area.
yep.
Okay.
So then our environmental education had reached over 10,000 participants for 650 programs. That's school-aged groups and public programs, which is probably a little lower than previous years, just with the transition and naturalists and stuff like that. But it's consistently in that tens of thousands of participants at our programs every year. And then projects kind of planned throughout this upcoming year. We've got the planting more trees at different parks where we're losing them to emerald ash borer and other diseases killing the trees. We've got big plans for converting the campsites at North Cedar Park to 50 amp service and graveling those sites. I've started kind of laying that out on the map to see how those sites would flow just on the map and spacing. But I'll be looking on, measuring with the wheel and stuff now, and I met with the Mid-American Energy to see if there's anything that they would need to do, which at this point the power going into the park is good enough. It'd just be a matter of if we needed to set up another transformer and distribution panel more in the middle. So then you'd have one kind of by the first site, and then maybe one in the middle, and then venture off from those. And if that's the case, then they would do some stuff to get from that new line there. If the electrician thinks that they can stretch all the way to the end with just what's and not lose power, then they wouldn't necessarily have to do anything. So I need to meet with the electrician out there to get their thoughts on it. But I'd like to get those campsites updated to the heavier electric and add the gravel spots. And right now, just from the map I was looking at, it'd probably be at most 20 sites in there. And so it'd be 20 sites, and then it would need to continue to feed the shower building, and then just the one open shelter there. So if we do all pull-throughs, then it'd be more like probably 16, but it's just on the verge there. Pull-throughs would be 100, little over 100 feet long, which is plenty long for a pull-through. But if we do back-to-back, kind of space them out nicely, then I think we can get a few more, but still have 35-ish, 40 feet in between campsites.
What do we average for usage there?
The average usage is, that park's usually been second behind Cedar Bend. So on a given weekend, right now there's a dozen or so. It kind of varies on a holiday weekend. We could get maybe 20, 25 kind of circled up in there. On average weekends, it's between 5 and a dozen or so. So I think once we have them all graveled in there, then if we do have that 16 to 20, which I'm kind of thinking more like 20 now, then that would be enough, and I don't think we wouldn't lose anybody. So that's kind of the plans for this year. And then we just kind of go on with our numbers for our REAP line items, our land acquisition account line items, and then our general fund expenditures, as well as the county farm site. And that's kind of where we ended up for the year on our financials. Any questions on any of that stuff?
And update on your Cedar Bend cabin?
So right now, we're planning on trying to get stuff going out for bid here shortly, and having a time frame of trying to get out for bid, and then have it get worked on late summer, whenever it works for contractors' time frames. But more likely, probably late summer into the fall, and then be finishing the inside touches over the winter and be open by this time next year is kind of the plan right now that we're looking at.
I move to accept and place on file the annual report.
I'll second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. And the chair votes aye.
Okay.
We accepted the report. Very nice job. Tell the board they're doing a very good job. The supervisors really appreciate all the work.
Sure, good deal.
Other departmental updates.
I was just gonna mention parks will be opening at the end of this month. Friday, I think Friday is May 1st this year. Or, yeah, Friday's May 1st, so we'll be opening that week, getting everything open for that weekend. Getting everything ready now. The exterior steel on the Cedar Bend shop, the roof on the shower building, and the roof on the east shelter are basically getting wrapped up now as part of the insurance money from last year. So pretty much getting that stuff wrapped up, which is nice. Made a huge difference to that shop. It's all one color now and not a mixture of 3 different ones. So it really looks nice. We decided to go and do basically the whole thing with and paying that extra just to be evened out and to get it all done at once while it's getting worked on, and it's looking nice. And then we had one roll up door that was only like a 7x9 door, and we couldn't really fit much in it, and we raised that up a couple feet to make it a 9x9 door, and then we can get everything, basically everything we want in that stall too now. So that door still needs to get put in, but it's all framed up, just waiting for the person to put that roll-in door for us. Otherwise, we added a small little shelter at the east side of Alcock Park over the winter, where the east shelter was at. We'd taken that down a few years ago, left the concrete there, and we added a fire pit and some seating around it, and then put this little two picnic table size shelter that kind of points at the fire ring and stuff. So we did that over the winter, and then I was going to mention too that we had been talking, since we do have a new board member, of having showing Scott around and having a tour of obviously not the whole area, but a lot, picking and choosing some of the areas that we can go and meet with and show Scott. And I was going to let you guys know too, but we're planning on the 21st, so next week on Tuesday afternoon. So I assume you guys are usually done by about 1 o'clock or so. We were going to plan on 1 o'clock on Tuesday, April 21st, to meet at our office at Tripola, and depending on how many board members we got, how many join us, we could jump in 1 or 2 of our vehicles and check out some of our parks that Scott and others that may not have seen yet, and you guys would be invited to join as well.
And if we don't have much time,
Andy, what time are we meeting? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
Conservation office?
Yep, 1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Blackhawk County down in Big Woods, and I think they do it at Blackhawk, hosts a Halloween, and I think there's one other weekend where they have special events. Have Bremer County ever considered?
In their
doing that?
campgrounds and stuff.
With, the naturalists maybe doing programs and such with kiddos, and
We haven't done anything in the,
might want to consider
Campgrounds.
that in the campground, because it's a draw. Man.
Yeah.
Those campgrounds are packed on those weekends just by campers and their families. So.
yeah, sometimes they do like a Christmas in July or
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
We do
Halloween
the,
is the biggest. I mean, it's amazing.
We used to do a spook-tacular or a Halloween thing at Cedar Bend.
we do that at Iguanas now. The Halloween hike we do every year down at Eagle Lodge in
Yeah, and I don't think you
October.
need to take away from that, but
Added to the campgrounds.
It's not just Halloween. You maybe could pick another weekend and develop a special program just as a draw.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely program abilities.
I echo Bob's thoughts on your board, and I would extend that out to you and your employees. You guys do a good job out there. So
Okay, yeah, let's
appreciate
pass
it.
that along.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else. Yep.
Thank you, Andy.
I just want to say, Andy, you stepped up, you're gonna help with the tree planting too, you've offered some help to your staff, I just wanted to recognize that, appreciate that.
Yep, I was gonna mention that. I was planning on at least me and maybe one or two others would be here on the 29th for the tree planting.
28th.
28th.
Participation for
Yeah.
that.
I'd mentioned 2/28 if we needed to dig any free holes or anything. And then the 29th.
Yeah, I think we're planning that morning of the 29th, to bring the tree spade guy in and get some of the plugs out ahead of time. And yeah, as I work with Paul, if we want to maybe bore some of the small trees on the 28th. So to make the install quicker, we'll get that organized with you.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good.
Alrighty, 10 o'clock, we'll go to Landon Moore, Engineer Weekly Update. We've got 3 items. First one is the bid letting for C38 T77 paving project.
We've got one bid here. Heartland Asphalt. The bid bond appears to be in order. Total bid, $657,170.45. 657,170.45. It is very close to the engineer's estimate. I would call that a good bid.
We call them a good bid when it's well under the.
That's true, yeah, that's true. We like those. And we got both addendums, so looks like a good bid to me. I would recommend approval pending our review.
I move to approve, pending your review.
Second.
We have a first and second to approve Harlan Asphalt for the bid for C38 and T77. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That has been approved. Then we have some reviews, secondary road budget for FY27.
This mirrors exactly what was submitted to the county, so barring any questions, I recommend approval of the DOT budget.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of adopting the IDOT Bremer County Secondary Road Budget FY27, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. That has been approved. Final item is our IDOT Bremer County Secondary Road Construction 5-year program for FY27. so.
Not a lot of changes here, but there are two good ones that I'll note here. The first two projects on page 2, page 1, page 2, whatever you call that. Bridge replacement 9-4 and 10-6 now have BROS CHBP numbers. We were notified Thursday of last week that we did receive the competitive highway bridge program grant we applied for those two. So 80% of those two bridges will be funded through that grant program. So that is the only major change to this from the last time we looked at it.
Move to adopt the 5-year program for 27.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor of adopting the secondary road construction 5-year program for FY 27, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. We've adopted that. I don't have those documents. Do you have them?
Right here, yeah.
Excuse me.
The only other note I have is something for the radar, is we will have to look at repealing our road crossing ordinance related to some litigation. Is that the way to say that? So I can get that on the docket here in the coming weeks, and we can get that taken care of, and we'll have to probably write up a new one for our utility road crossings. So I'll get going on that process.
I don't have anything for you today.
I don't have anything, thanks, Alderman.
Sir?
Okay, thank you. Do you want to sign or do you want to take a shell?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Put it in there.
Thank you.
Always.
I assume, yeah, you got this.
Yes.
Great. Darius, how you doing?
Good, Bob. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Excellent. Cassandra, do you have about a moment?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's true. Very true.
That's pretty. Looks nice, Bob.
Did you ever figure out where your phone was found?
Somebody called me and just said that they found it. I think it was when my alarm clock went off. I was not really awake enough to question them. My husband was talking to him.
Missing phone. It's all found. That's good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, you retraced your tracks. It's just as strange that nowhere. But yeah, it was still found.
I haven't called the guy yet to ask him where it was.
Just to let you know, we have Corey on the phone. So he's out sick, someone sick today, but he's on the phone with us. And we'll just start here in a couple minutes.
Hello.
Hey, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
I'm kidding.
Morning. Morning. Hello. Morning. Morning.
You want to write that?
Oh, are we up?
You're gonna be the, yeah, we're gonna talk about you.
Okay, let's go. Nice morning out there.
Spring has come.
Alrighty, we'll get started here. We have a discussion item replacing the county fleet vehicle with a retiring sheriff's office vehicle, Bremer County Courthouse addition and renovation. So that's the item we're gonna be talking about. So let's start out with Mr. Sheriff here.
Okay, Shelley had approached me. Apparently, we were discussing vehicles, and I don't know what the status of your cars all are, but I said if you're going to keep one, we have a Tahoe around 100,000 miles that actually has a full seat, and when you're done with them, so you got a full seat, and I don't know how often these other ones get driven. And I think she was more concerned about like election equipment in the back for space, because these other ones don't have much room in them, I guess. So I'm like, it's not going to be my vehicle. We would normally sell it. And again, I figured we get between 30 and 32 out of it. But again, it goes back into that account for the 41 account, because that's what it comes out of. So, I guess I'll leave that up to you guys, but,
What would we sell then in its place, shall we?
I would recommend the 2016 Explorer. It's we have a 2013 that we've had since 77,000. I think that was the one Dave drove,
McDonald had
and
that
that's
one.
got the full interior. The 2016 does not. It's missing the center console, and then the 2017 has 103 on it. We just put new tires on it, so I would say we get rid of the 2016 if we're looking to get rid of one.
That seems reasonable. I mean, that's really my thought, is if we don't really need to expand the number
No.
in the fleet, we just need to get rid of a different one and keep a newer one, and that makes sense.
We don't have it, it's gonna go down sometime in May to get the switchovers done, so I can just keep you posted on it whenever you posted on it. And once, we get the equipment out of it and the seats back in, and so,
So are you gonna handle the sale of the 16 then, or the board, or are you gonna have Shelley handle that, or Scott?
how did we do that last time? We put it on the marketplace,
Yeah,
didn't we?
you guys did. Yep.
If you guys clean it up and take the decals and all that stuff off, I don't have a problem. We can do the pictures and.
Okay. Yeah.
And usually I have Sean do that on the night shift. He posts it, and we can kind of think about what we want to put it out there for.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
How is that budget-wise gonna be clean still for that, what we anticipated out of 41, or is it not gonna have an impact on that
It's
for
just-
next fiscal year?
It's this fiscal year, correct?
Yes.
That's what happened in this fiscal year, so it's just gonna be a little less in revenue versus what Dan was anticipating he was gonna get for the vehicle that we're keeping versus what he's gonna now get out of his 2016. I'm assuming there's gonna be a difference. I doubt you're gonna get.
For the last Fords that we
45,000.
sold, how many miles under, do you know?
136.
130, oh boy. So the last Fords at 120-ish, we got 9,500, so with that being a 16, I bet it's gonna be 5 or 6 if that. I'm just throwing that out. Maybe be more, but we'll have to figure out what we want to do on that. So,
I'd move to replace the 16 with the current outgoing vehicle, through that.
I'll second your motion, Blaine.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. We've approved that, switching of cars and selling of a car, so that'd be great. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go to alternative project.
Okay. Don't have a whole lot to update you with. We did have a meeting with Meyer and Schumacher last week. Schumacher is going to get Myron their total expenses for the new elevator, which they thought would be around 7,500 or less. Myron will give us a change order for that, and we'll close that out. And then they're also going to do a change order to undo the driveway that we did a change order for. They went ahead and rocked that last week because they had to either rock it or grass it to meet their swift water permit. And then they're looking to close out phase 1.
Elevator waiver, where is that at?
I met with Schumacher, was here on site yesterday to look at that, and they don't think we need a waiver, that since we're under 4 stories tall, that we don't need a waiver. So they said we'll be up to date on the most current, it's 2019 is the state code, so.
Just gets better, I guess.
Yeah. That was their interpretation yesterday, so.
I'm a little shocked.
Can we get that in
They're gonna get
writing
it
from
through
someone?
They're gonna put that, yes. Yep. They're going to put a quote together, like Corey said, for updating the controls, and that'll all be in there, so.
Okay,
as part of phase one? Or
No, outside of
Okay,
Myron, this will
so-
just be between us and,
are we gonna get
Schumacher.
an estimate of what they think the final,
yeah, from,
for Myron to close out phase one? Because this is all the ARPA dollars.
yes.
And, I'm just trying to figure out where we're at and if we're gonna have money left over.
Yeah, that's part of when they bring us the change orders, they'll have a final.
I have to report by the 30th. Will we have it by then?
30th of this month? I can check and ask for it.
It sounded doable the other day, Scott, when we talked with Owen. It sounded like we were, from his meeting yesterday, about a week, it sounded, from what he made it sound like last Wednesday.
That,
So,
well,
because-
yeah, it'll be close, but there's some, general contracting work and electrical work that they're getting prices for too that are part of it, so that might take a little
Right.
longer.
Right, I forgot about that part. And then we're going to meet with Eric Bingle from ISG this afternoon at 2 p.m. to discuss if interest in kind of what the redirect is with the garage, the project as a whole. So we'll have that conversation this afternoon and be able to share that next week.
but right now, we're looking at replacing the elevator as is, in the same shaft, and then a secondary garage right out here with the air handler on top. Is that still,
We haven't got that far. Basically, we've just talked to Schumacher.
okay,
We've talked to Myron about closing out phase one.
Yep.
And then we've talked to Schumacher about updating this elevator, and we haven't got anything with ISG about what the design might look like.
just wanna make sure we're all on the same page.
And the conversation with ISG is more if they're willing to continue, if we want to go back to square one and do an RFP for an architect, if we want to just continue with ISG, kind of the what ifs of that to bring back for a discussion of where do we go from here with that garage. We could go to a different architecture firm, we could go back to square one, and see what the board wants to do next week, but we want to see ISG's willingness to work with us. You know, they've got a lot of material they've provided for us. Is that available? You know, all that information and data and designs, is that available if we were to go somewhere else? Are we locked in with working with them to retain that we've paid for? So then, after we talk with Eric, we'll be able to have a better informed conversation.
Corey, we may have to engage the opinion of the county attorney because it is a pretty substantial change in project, and I don't know if I want to go out on a limb and say that that's appropriate to do without having to do a
bid.
RFP and seeking new architects, so let's make sure we ask and get that question answered also. He's in the room,
For sure.
so he heard it, so.
So next item we have is ARPA updates, Cassandra.
So, I mean, there could be potential here, and maybe I need to get with Landon on this. So one of the projects on here was the road project. And that road project total was going to be estimated at, let me find it here, a little over 835,000. We budgeted $592,043.09 out of ARPA. Because we can move money around in projects, I'm just wondering if, because this was all local sources, if we move the funds there and then pay for anything remaining in phase one out of our local option sales, because that's probably where it came from for the road as well. But at least that way, we guarantee that we're gonna spend the ARPA dollars instead of risking leaving it in the project and suddenly there's 150,000 left that we have no project left to put it on. That's just a thought.
Yeah, that sounds good to me because Lost has flexibility, so.
Again,
That's
as long
the
as,
direction I was thinking too, Cassandra. If we spent $592,000 of ARPA that would have went towards the courthouse, so I was kind of looking at that as a loss, using loss as a replacement for possibly the garage project. If we could expend the ARPA as a change order out of roads or something to make sure we meet our obligation by the end of the year.
And again, I think that, yeah, that local option sales tax is probably what paid the balance of that county portion. However, it was our old lost money,
Oh,
not our
right.
new. But, it just means that, like, he doesn't get as much of the new, and he'll have more of his old left. So, that's just a possibility. I've done the ARPA report. I sent it to you, Corey. You've got it. It's not final. It's just the initial phase, but I can make changes to it. I'll also, make sure I include this in.
I can work with you the next week. We could create a couple scenarios.
That works for me.
Dude, did you have a question or concern?
As long as everything is legal,
Darius will be involved.
transitionist.
Okay. Any other updates on ARPA? Looks like a good path there, and Scott, you're doing a good job on the alternative projects, so that's good information that you found out on the elevator waiver, so that was interesting, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Anything else?
Nope.
Otherwise, we'll wait for our 10:30 meeting. We'll take a 3-minute break and back. Did you meet with Liz? Hey, Scott?
Not yet, no, I have contractors here. So.
Can't say that.
Jen very willingly said yes to that appointment to Intercog Transportation, so,
Good.
yeah, should be a good fit.
Yes.
And she said they're working with United Way to provide more disability services for transportation, so I said, boy, your timing is, my timing is perfect for you then to get on board, so.
I don't know, I was thinking.
Missy, smile.
It's a 21, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It, okay. It could be by
Yeah, I was
then.
told that, I mean, well, there was people with those pictures, and they were talking about it today.
Yeah, no kidding.
Talking later after 3, I'll keep watching it, but we don't get anything.
They say tomorrow is supposed to be.
Yeah. I see Friday again, another round. It's crazy.
They should have planned it in March, I guess, just kidding. It's nice and different.
I finally put my crabgrass stuff on Saturday before it rained. But I'm like, I'm never gonna get the lawn dethatched with this rain. I didn't get it done last year either, but it rained out last year too.
Once it starts, it doesn't have to. Once it starts raining, it doesn't have
No. She comes with an inch on Saturday. I'll lay in under it later in the day. Yep.
So it's like last night, I don't know where it was at. Just was in the sky.
Yeah, I think up north, I want to see that area had storms. Just
You have raccoons around your house, Bob?
on channel 7.
You need an extra one?
No, I just got.
Sail up in Minnesota.
We,
It looked like, it was just
Had one that's,
covered in everything.
well, those things can just terrorize you at
I lost
times.
my truck a few years ago. down
They
there.
found the bird feeders, so they're up on top of there and knocking stuff down and causing a ruckus. And the dog senses they're out there and she's causing a ruckus.
If that's the case, I.
So,
assume
I guess
it
it's
was
trap
$20
time,
or
I
something.
don't know. Missy, do you need one out of your house?
No, we battle with woodpeckers.
Woodpeckers, what?
Yeah, they're pecking holes in my house.
Oh, in your house?
Yeah. Like one of them got inside my wall.
Are you kidding?
No, it pecked clear through the exterior into the inner wall.
Really?
Yeah. We've been battling for 2 years. We've tried everything.
You're losing.
Guess what? I'm moving. My house is going up for sale pretty soon. So.
You need to get some little siding.
I'm moving into the Sumner neck of the woods, I guess.
Where?
In the home place.
Mr. Chair, I move to open the public hearing for the fiscal year 27 budget.
Second.
Here, we have a motion to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. We are now in public hearing for FY 27 budget. First of all, I do have to present that we have resolutions 2619 for elected official salaries and also 2621, which updated the sheriff's salaries. That is presented. Do I just need to give this to anybody or?
I think just that you acknowledge that you presented it at the meeting is,
Now I'm going to turn it over to Cassandra to give us, give the public a kind of overview of the budget, where we stand before we take public comment.
so in the FY 27 budget, the board did a wage study. I think everyone's aware of that. Found a few offices or departments were on the lower side of the pay range. A few were at the higher end of the pay range, and some were well below the pay range. Board decided on a 2.8% increase for everyone, cost of living, but then also chose to try and get those that were on the lower end up a little bit further. So there were certain departments slash offices that did increase above that 2.8%. Sheriff, that was the additional resolution for the board's role as the compensation board, did go to 8.08%. So that is where we're at with wages that are figured into this budget. Health insurance, this board chose not to raise increases to the employer's portion or the employee's portion. Kind of just gonna ride out this year, see where we're at. But I anticipate that next year we will see changes. Could be a cost share of who's gonna pay for it. Might be that it ends up more on the employee side. We're working to try and see if we can figure out other options for health insurance, but at this point in time, we're on the path that is the best fit for us right now. Liability insurance, we did not increase that from last year. We will be getting a review from our ICAP, and they will be going around to properties that are over a certain threshold, and they'll be assessing them, so I anticipate we'll be getting increases there as well, because replacing any structure is obviously costing more. As far as our tax levy rate, we're proposing a countywide levy rate of $5.320055. Last year it was $5.23465, and our rural only levy is up to $3.95. Last year it was $3.87255. The increase in the levies are still not enough to meet our costs, so we are anticipating deficits in our general fund and general supplemental. Right now, we have a healthy fund balance and it is able to absorb those deficits. But going forward, we need to find ways to slow that rate of decline of our fund balance as best we can. I guess I think that that's pretty much it. We have multiple capital projects that are within this budget. Board needs to decide today before they adopt the budget whether or not they want to remove a few items now that the courthouse addition is no longer on the table in the form that it was. We had in the budget another custodian, we had additional utilities, et cetera, for the additional space that we would have, water and electric and whatnot, so that potentially could come out. We had bond payments, we had, obviously, expenditures. So those will be a few items when we get to the part where they're discussing that we can discuss if they want those removed. We can't increase anything within the budget, but we can decrease before this board adopts it. So I don't know if there's any specific questions that those of you have for the board or that I can answer.
So talking about, since we are a little bit, looking at a courthouse from our alternative, you'll have a recommendation on what items we could remove, right?
Yes, I mean, absolutely, we could remove, they are their own, within their own fund, except for there is some local option sales tax expenditures in there, so we could reduce those. I don't know that we want to reduce to the level that there's nothing there. I don't know how fast this project will get up and running, the alternative project, but there might be some thought to keep at least something there. I don't know with an alternative project whether you need another maintenance staff. That's going to be a discussion for the three of you, but it is in the tentative FY27 budget as a full year employee. So.
We are in a public hearing, so if anybody would like to come up and talk about our FY27 budget, they're more than welcome to come up and just come up to the mic.
Well, I missed the first two meetings on the property tax deal, and they said the next one was today. I guess it's part of this. So,
Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, what do I, can you hear me?
We'll get the mic.
It's fine, Bob. It'll pick
Well,
up
my
fine.
chair up there?
Yeah,
I get
Relax.
down.
and Corey's on the phone, just to let you know.
Okay.
Supervisor Sorensen.
So, my name is Jeff Sage. I'm out here in Washington Township. And I guess I wasn't paying much attention last fall when the taxes first raise come out. So mine have gone up $1,100 for the year. And I'm wondering why it's almost doubled. So why is it that much? I mean, I know things go up every year, but so why is it that much? That's what I want to know.
Okay, and we can talk to you afterwards to look at your specific tax bill. Yes.
Well, I had ran into Corey at somewhere a couple months ago, but
It was up in New Hampshire at a
yeah,
town hall.
yeah.
Yep.
But I haven't. You were going to get back to me, but you never did. So
Yeah, that was on that bridge project. Bridge project.
well, I live. That's where I live, right there. But
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, yep.
so I don't know. My house, the original part was built in 1891, and the other one's probably in the 1920s. And I've remodeled it since I bought it 30 years ago. But I have about 3 houses that are $1 million houses within me. So is that what pulled me up, or?
That may affect your valuation, but also you gotta remember there's multiple taxing jurisdictions, so I don't know exactly what school district you're in.
Waverly.
Waverly Shell Rock, so they've had some bond issues that kicked in the past couple of years.
But has everybody's taxes gone up, doubled, almost?
Yeah, Jeff, I'm looking at your statement right now. Your valuation did have a sizable jump. Your gross taxable value had a sizable jump from the 23 assessment to the 24 assessment, on the order of about 35-38%. So it was just the revaluation. Our assessor has to go through, and they have a range they have to be within, you know, for what they view the sale value of the property at. And it looks like, looking through your statement right now, that a lot of your increase was just that valuation. It's basically, the assessor was saying is that you were undervalued on your 23 statement, and going to your 24 statement, they made a pretty sizable correction in property value, which your levies have been pretty stable, but because of the valuation increase, you've seen a pretty good jump in your taxes.
Well, I don't see how it could double that much. I mean, but I guess it is what it is, but.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
I mean, I don't mind paying, I'd like to pay tax. That means I'm earning and whatever, and it goes to the good of the
The public.
public. But, I mean, is everybody's going up that much? See, I mean, everything is going up all over the board, so I don't understand just because somebody's building $1 million house next to me. Well, 3 of them. And we live on a gravel road and everything else.
So I'm gonna have you go over to our assessor's office.
Well, I've been over there too. I've been questioning this since February, I guess, but,
And what did your assessor
well,
say?
they say basically the same thing. The valuation's up and all that, but.
Well, Jeff, there is a process if you want to refute that, and there is a formal process the assessor can help you through if you want to challenge the valuation.
Well, it's probably
There's
kind of,
deadlines.
whoops, sorry.
There's deadlines associated with that, and Aaron, our assessor, can walk you through that process. But I would encourage you to, with this kind of an increase year over year, I would encourage you to at least look into that. I think that's your best route forward, would be to look into that today with him while you're there.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just, well, yeah, your deadlines was come and gone, I suppose, with all this, but, anyway.
Well,
Okay,
you can always challenge it, and it would just be a forward-looking tax year, if you're past the deadline, but, you always have the ability to challenge it.
okay, well, I'll go next door then. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Any other public comment? If none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Now we're on the resolution to adopt the FY27 budget and certification of taxes as published, and direct auditor properly certify and file the budget and certificate for taxes as adopted. We hear a motion to discuss this.
So moved.
I'll second for discussion.
We have first and a second. Now we're in discussion. Okay. And Cassandra, is this where you
Yeah,
want some?
I can let you know, if you choose to have the maintenance position removed, that would save about $71,554 with the alternative budget that Scott LaRue proposed. So there's that, out of local option sales tax. There's about a little over 2.7 million between principal and interest expense and courthouse and architect expenses that could be removed. Department 99 is a little over 4.8 million in expenses for the courthouse remodel. Again, it's up to you guys. If you want it all removed, it can be removed, but then just as a reminder, we won't be able to do an amendment till after July 1, and it'll still have to meet all the requirements of posting it in the paper and whatnot. So it's just how fast we can get money back there with authority to spend. So I'm open to removing it all or leaving partial in. What would you guys like to do?
So you've heard me ask this question, some at least, if not all in the room have heard me ask this question. Is this budget sustainable going forward?
I do not believe that it's going to be sustainable going forward. Yes, we had a few more capital projects this year. But even taking those out, we haven't been doing the increases to the insurance that we probably need to. We're gonna just have to figure out other ways either to bring in additional revenue, find ways to consolidate positions when people are leaving. It's not an issue of, in my opinion, of overpaying the staff that we have. It's just that what we're gonna be able to generate in dollars isn't gonna be able to keep up with the level of expenses we have right now.
I totally agree, and to the gentleman that just gave public comments, I hear that frustration out there a lot. You can sense that it's far worse than what people are even sometimes willing to express. Government as a whole is gonna have to find a different way to operate going forward. I have thought, considered, done lots of inner searching on how I feel about this budget. For some reason, this budget has been so much different than some of the others that have come before us, in that we seem to have had such huge increases in lots of areas. I thought probably I would vote no for the budget, still not convinced that I'm not gonna vote no for the budget. What impact does that have on if we vote no for this budget?
If you vote no to this budget, then we'll be held to last year's budget.
And if all of those items that we're talking about removing, we remove 100% of them, what impact does that have on potential levy amounts?
Not a thing. So because we're running at a deficit of a little over, I think it was 8.8, 800 and, roughly 880,000 between the general basic and the general supplemental. Only one item on there is from the general basic and general supplemental, and that's the maintenance position. So you'd just be reducing how much we're taking out of that fund balance. There is another piece to this. I don't want to speculate where the state's going to go and what property tax legislation is going to be passed, but I do think that there will be a fund balance maximum, and it's going to be a maximum of our expenditures. It sounds like right now that it's leaning towards 35%, so I don't know if it'll end with FY28 that we need to be down to that level. Right now, we're at, between the general basic and general supplemental, we're at 55.48% with the projected budget that we've got here. So that does have to come down. Like I said, I'm not denying that we've done very well, we've got a healthy fund balance. So we're not at a level of panic at this point. It's just knowing that going forward. And, but we may have a push next year to get down to that 35%. I don't know where FY28, if that's gonna be the deadline, or if they're gonna give you a few years. I can't predict that.
But doing taking money from fund balances, reducing fund balance without reducing costs is bad business. It's not, again, it's not sustainable without, at some point down the road, significantly increasing people's taxes. Because if you don't make other cuts, if you just take the money out of that fund balance without making other expenditure cuts, it's not sustainable.
If I could tell you right now that that amount that we're spending down was because of one or two projects, and oh, by the way, next year we won't have capital projects, so we don't have to worry about that. That's different, but for the most part, our capital projects stay fairly consistent. We know who's gonna ask for them, we know roughly, yeah, there's increases to it. You know, conservation may switch off between a tractor versus a truck, but we know about what they're gonna be. Yeah, I can't pinpoint just one specific area that is that deficit that is a capital project. I'd be more comfortable if that was the case and it wasn't an ongoing expense.
And
Well, I agree that we can't continue to deficit spend out of fund balance, on Dewey's point, but we could take this 71,554, the maintenance position, we could choose to lower the levy and maintain the initial proposed numbers of deficit spending this year to lower the levy. There's other things we could do to do the same thing. Is that sustainable? No. We've already identified that status quo budgeting going forward will not work, especially with what may be coming from Des Moines. We are going to have to look at service sharing opportunities. We've identified, Dewey said something about PSAPs a couple weeks ago, being one of those that potentially could be explored. We've identified other opportunities for cross-county sharing. So there are things. We know the budgeting where we've just been looking at last year's numbers and heading, what inflation is just not sustainable. It doesn't work anymore. It hasn't worked for some years, but we've kicked the can for a few years not wanting to embrace change, and here we are. To me, a vote against this today is a vote against those people that we've identified in the past few years that were the reason we did a wage study. And so to vote against this corrective action that we, great project that we undertook this year is a vote against those good people that work for the county. And I think we need to do the diligence as supervisors to really buckle down and explore these savings opportunities to make a sustainable budget going forward. But I think we've done a lot of heavy lifting this year to take some corrective action. And so that's where I'm in support of this budget. I don't want to spend this much, no, but I see the future path where we get on the right track and correct things. And would I like to have taken some of that on this year? Yes. But I think in the 11th hour right now, it's going to be pretty hard pressed to make those changes in this budget. But I think we can make some substantial changes for 28 to fix that problem.
while I won't argue that point, I will state that we may have taken bold positions to allow for the increases, and there were some people that were underpaid, and I do not want to punish those folks. This board didn't have enough wherewithal to cut where some people were at the far end of the pay scale. And then the other thing is, let's not just dismiss what's going on in Des Moines from the perspective that they constantly are throwing unfunded mandates at us. There's bills this year, right, that are out there that are going to cost the local taxpayers dollars because they're not funded from the state, and yet they're sitting down there saying they're cutting people's property taxes. So this isn't all on our employees, for Pete's sakes, and I hope that that's not what we're saying. But the system is messed up, and it's got to be fixed. And you can't fix cutting without fixing cutting. You can't just especially in today's era, you're not gonna grow this budget into a sustainable model without cutting something at some point.
I agree 100% with that.
One thing that I would like to caution about lowering the tax levy, even though we're projecting a deficit, is we are looking at across multiple legislative packages, a 2% cap on our levy dollars. So if we're in a deficit and we reduce the levy amount, which right now in the general basic is the $3.50, that obviously reduces the dollars we're generating, which is where that 2% cap is going to be implemented with our FY28 budget.
I agree with that, Cassandra. I would want to keep that right where it is.
That's where I'm at with it until we absolutely know where the state's going with this. I don't.
But I respect what you're saying 100%, but I disagree with that concept, because that concept means that we're willing to raise taxes in anticipation of what the state might do to us. And I can't fundamentally agree
I'm
with
not
that.
willing to raise taxes. I'm saying we're already operating at a deficit. And so to
But
then
we're raising taxes.
Well, what I was trying to do for the last couple of weeks, what I've been looking at is ways to reduce the general supplemental, because that's where we've seen the increase in the previous few years. Some ideas I put together is, maybe we create a graduated scale on employee portion of health insurance based on wage, like breaking the wage down into maybe $5,000 or $10,000 gradations. So that this year where we held the line because we didn't want to give a raise for COLA and take it away with increase. Maybe those on the lower end of the wage scale don't suffer in that model, but on the higher end where they had more wherewithal to be able to make those payments or contributions out of their check, maybe we take a larger segment of the wages, or the employee portion towards the health insurance.
I think we'd have to look into that, Corey, whether or not.
I did a legal dive on it here. I actually consulted with an attorney from Walmart on the private side, and it's kind of the inverse of what they tell you can't do, and for that reason, it's non-discriminatory from the ACA code language. But yeah, I agree. We'd have to look into it further in depth, but I did review it with an attorney.
It does seem.
It does look like it's
It does seem fundamentally backwards, though, because you encourage your best and brightest to work hard, and then you incentivize them by paying them a little more because they worked hard and they earned it, and then you're going to turn around and penalize them by raising their healthcare costs. That, to me, is kind of counterproductive, but I get what you're saying. A lot of.
I don't like it. I look at, somebody at a $35,000, $40,000 wage, their ability to contribute to health insurance, which our benefits are what brings a lot of our great employees to us, is our good benefit structure. And, what would they do without that benefit? Where, on the higher end, you do have a little more discretionary spending ability. And so that's the why where I'm coming from with that. I don't like it. I like to be consistent across the board, but with the, we went from 80 cents to north of $1.20 on our general supplemental levy in a few years, and it's all been, benefits, basically insurance and benefits, and trying to stem the great increases in supplemental. We've got very limited opportunity, and so this was just one of the things that I identified that we could look into.
Part of the reason that was the jump was the board made the decision a few years ago to move over a good chunk of what was in the general basic for liability insurance. It's been moved over to the general supplemental, which is one of those items that you can pay for out of it, because it, again, is one of those funds that there is no cap on the levy. It's restricted to purpose. So that's.
So it's very important that when we talk about and we tell the public that we're making decisions like that, we have to be very perfectly clear that it may not have been such a big jump from the perspective that if it lowered somewhere else. So
Well, our hands were kind of forced because we had our levy got pushed down to, it was like 339 on our general basic. And so it was basically some cost shifting.
Yes.
That was part of the 718 bill, I believe, where we had growth that we had with it, limited our general basic levy.
Well, we had some good comments here. I definitely appreciate it. I think this year, kind of like Corey says, our wage study did have some impacts. We did raise some, and we did lower the growth on some of them. I do think, from my, just year and a half on the board, is we do need to engage our HR more heavily in our salaries and making sure the ranges don't get too high, and then also where we should be going on salary growth. So I think we need to put more emphasis with her on that this next year, and that kind of goes along with health insurance too. So we did make some changes there. We have in a dedicated area so we can monitor it a little bit better, but we do need some more work on that. So, and I'm open to, so like some counties, they may do a stipend, $500 increase plus an increase of percent, but making sure that the lower employees get a fair shake. I'd be open to something like that too. But right now, I think the budget is in a good shape. I do think we should take the maintenance person out because it's not going to be there.
I'm fine with removing the building project. I think our timeline isn't, as long as we find out we can move the ARPA money and through a change order into a road project or maybe to fully expend it, then we're not on a timeline on the garage where we would be held up by being able to do a budget amendment and move some lost dollars over to pay for it. Avoid ever having to go into the bond money that we had approved, the referendum, and just do that small standalone project as a lost. So we're not taking on additional debt service would be the way I'd like to go forward. So I'm fine with removing the 2.7 million. It's just accounting. It doesn't affect levy, but it cleans it up.
I agree. All that needs to be removed.
Okay. Got the direction from the supervisors on those items.
I do. Do you want to adopt today or do you want to adopt next week? After I've removed all this.
I would move the table till next week. I think to have a clean dollar amount in front of us would be very beneficial.
You want me to have heartburn for 7 more days?
It won't be another public hearing. It'll just be, here's what your
Right.
numbers look like now.
Yep.
That makes sense. If that was a motion, Corey, I'll second your motion to table for a week.
Okay.
All in favor of tabling resolution for FY 27, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye, we'll table it, and it'll be on the agenda for next week. They act on cell phone reimbursements for FY 27.
I move to table those also because it's part of the budget conversation for next week as well.
Correct. I'll second that.
Move, first and second on tabling the cell phone reimbursement. Table that till next week, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Okay, we're done with that.
Could I say one other thing that I think that we should, I'm throwing it out there for food for thought for moving forward, healthcare, and I don't know, you guys are all smarter than I am. What if the county would establish a number, if each individual got that number, I'm gonna throw $20,000 out there, and you go out and buy your health insurance on the open market. We don't do a healthcare package anymore, we do it through that. I'm just throwing it out there. I wonder if that's how healthcare is gonna have to start to evolve into something different, because something's gotta bring it closer to the individual, and that might be partly what does it. I'm not proposing it, I'm not even, don't know if I'd be in favor of it, but I'm throwing it out there for I think it's gonna have to be a conversation at some point, what
So-
you do to solve some of those
Due
issues.
to our size, under the Affordable Care Act, we've got requirements of what we have to offer in health insurance, and I believe there's still penalties if we, don't offer. But again, something that we'll have to look into to see what those penalties would be. Could be less than sponsoring the health insurance.
Eldora they still have group health insurance, but they give a stipend to each employee, and they choose whether they put it in this health insurance or take it as pay. So.
Yeah, I talked with Chickasaw, they pay 100% of individual, they're not self-insured, they're a pool. They pay 100% individual, 75% of family. So, there's other ways we can look at it. We're putting a cost burden on those individuals, and it's saving the county a lot of money. So, our individual policies, we could look at maybe funding more, and then maybe backing off on the families, going in that direction is a good start, I feel.
We did that
For
last year.
quality.
Yeah, we increased the family portion, so that's what other direction other people are going.
Is there any way you can, like if you have an employee that's spouse works and they have insurance, because I've had that before, asking that they don't take the county's health insurance, but they still pay X amount, so they don't pay into the county's insurance to work something where if the others has a higher deductible. I mean, I don't know, maybe you can't even do that, but if you're putting $20,500 into a health insurance budget for each family, I don't know if you can fund anything like that, so those employees that don't take it, they have no benefit. But it's their choice not to take it, I'm just saying.
Seems like Cottingham and Butler brought that
I mean, I'm just-
idea to the table a few years
It's
ago.
called a
and-
carve out, and
And it
Oh,
was
okay.
not,
Okay.
there were, but again, part of the conversation, I
Yeah.
think it all needs to be talked about again at some point, so, I think, a number of employees need to be looked at, lots of stuff needs to be looked at going forward, and like Tori and I have said, we need to start looking at wherever we can possibly consolidate, because that's the state, look what they've done with mental health, and they're now in the process with public health, and it's not gonna stop there. If we don't do it before they get to us, we'll probably be told what to do instead of being able to do it.
Alrighty, we're past our time period, so, but definitely appreciate everybody that attended this, and thanks for all your good work too. So we'll get this budget out there done next week, so you have employees for next year.
I wouldn't wanna follow that, Tim, but
I'm
pull your
afraid
chair
to.
up.
So Darius, you can pull up two, so.
Mr. Chair, I only have one question regarding the mowing and baling services contract.
Yes.
Was it written by an attorney or what? 12 pages to mow lawn?
I was thinking the same thing, we could have maybe went with a smaller font, save paper.
Looking for you.
Me.
Didn't get right. Except the
So
Board of Health.
we have a draft of our mowing agreement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Only, yeah, it is long, but,
It has, it looks
well, I did see
very comprehensive.
contradiction here.
yeah, I kept open some. This isn't of course, the final draft. I left in some paragraphs just to give some flexibility to get kind of direction. But this is very much a draft version, not a final.
So on page 3, A, the operator can apply.
Yeah, the chemicals
herbicides, and then
versus
B,
the
if
not, yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah, but we kept it in there, so. No, that's not a final, that was meant as a draft to keep open.
Okay.
Tim, is this gonna scare anybody off having to have that long a contract?
It may, but when we get right to it, why, I really don't think so. It's just, we need to, whether they want it a 1 year or, and how many dollars they're gonna pay per ton. So.
Okay.
But those other things need to be addressed, chemicals, this, that, and,
And don't you, I mean, a multi-year contract, because they're gonna do some cleanup and so forth.
well, when we talk multi-year contract, we're talking about a farmer that will put money into it. Let's say more alfalfa mix, so something like that. So it takes 3 to 4 years for a return on your investment if you're gonna do that. So,
Well, and honestly, that's kind of what we're, I think, thinking about looking toward for the county farm is to extend the length of the contract. So we certainly don't want this to be shorter. I guess I'd recommend that we do like a 5-year contract minimum and then do some sort of review after in 3 years or,
anything's possible.
you know,
We can do whatever we wanna do.
Corey?
So Joey, are you thinking like a 3-year contract with an option for 2-year extension after review, or do you want to just write it in as a 5-year?
I think that the renter would probably be more comfortable writing it in as a 5-year and Darius could find language to put in that we could get an out if they weren't doing as they planned after 3 year and during that review. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, yep.
And what do you think? Minimum of 2 cuttings a year? I mean, most farmers get 3 to 4, but
Well, in the part that we're gonna flatten out, the pre-1978 stuff, you're gonna get 3 to 4 cuttings because we're gonna seed it with alfalfa and grasses. And that's the whole potential, that's the reason for doing that. So we maintain our line of sight down to the dump site from the scale house, so it's always mowed. After it gets up 1.5 feet or so, it gets mowed, which is what we've been doing.
my only concern would be on a super dry year, would you be able to do 3?
I don't know.
And forcing someone to sign up where you gotta do it 3 times, whether you're gonna get any hay off of it or not, doesn't seem prudent.
Or it's mutually agreed upon that. So I do agree you need to make sure you have the line of sight, so as long as you have that ability to call and say, okay, you need to cut it within X amount of days.
And that's the main reason of doing that 3.6 acres that way, and we're paying for the seed to do it, so it'll be maintained the way we want it, and we're not seeding the whole landfill cap
So
on the other side. We're not putting the expense into that.
okay.
So you think 3? Minimum of 3? Because that's what you're asking
Yeah.
for, right? You're asking for us to make a determination on at
Well,
least.
And, look over the draft and getting you in tune with what's,
Well, you don't have a lot of time. You gotta get this put together
Right.
soon here to get
yep.
the contract done.
So,
So 3 cuttings, and then we talked about the herbicide, and we talked about a 5-year length. What else do you need from us?
I guess that's good.
Okay.
The cutting on the cap may only be twice.
Yeah, that's where I think, you
Down
just have to
below.
have some mutually agreed upon that, hey, it's not needed, so.
What about per ton? When do we need to establish that rate?
We'll have to open it up and see what the farmers are gonna bid per ton. I have two that are very interested right now, two farmers.
Okay.
But we've gotta put it in the paper, we have to advertise it and be fair to everybody, so.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you need from us on this draft?
No.
Okay. We'll go to the next action item, and because we're not gonna act on the draft. Discuss and act on increased charge rate from $80 per ton to $100 per ton for all solid waste hauled to the customer convenience center effective July 1st. Do we hear a motion to discuss that item? I will.
Second.
We're in discussion. Tell us, your thinking, rationale, and,
Thanks, Darius.
Thank you. Okay, we're at $80 a ton now, we're higher than anybody else around. If we go back, we haven't raised rates for 8 years. And if we do, let's say, a 3% cost of living increase, that's gonna put us at a 25% increase. So that tells me that we need to be at $100 per ton. So with that spoken, I would like to keep it at a $15 minimum at 300 pounds instead of where we're at now is $15 for 380 pounds. That way it keeps the elderly folks that bring in 2 or 3 bags, it keeps their minimum down.
Jim, maybe I didn't hear. You said we're at $80 now and we're higher than everybody else?
Oh, yeah. Yep. The next one closest to it, Blackhawk, is at for 43.
How can they do it at that rate?
Because when it comes in, they can go right out and dump it in their
no
landfill.
transportation.
What about some of the other counties that transport it down there?
And I don't have their information. Transfer stations are different than, like, and I hate to talk about Butler County all the time. They're taxed different, so all of their garbage, even what comes off the garbage truck, is free to dump at their facility because they're being taxed for it. Okay, when it comes to demolition, old mattresses, shingles, then they get charged for demolition. Okay, and I don't even know what it is per yard over there. But we have a scale, that way the scale don't lie. It tells us exactly what you brought in and that's exactly what you pay for. So I don't have,
Are we losing money at $80?
yes.
Yeah, we're running a deficit.
We're only paying for 1/2 of a full-time person, and we have 2.
Okay.
If we increase this to 100, that
I
will.
see that in the numbers. I want to be
Yes.
able to articulate that to the folks that tune in and listen, because otherwise it doesn't sound, if you just go on what you said initially, that we're already higher than everybody else, people are gonna say that it doesn't make any sense to raise it. But it does make sense based on the conversations we had during the budget process, where we're already having budget issues.
Yes,
Why do we want to let people get by with causing this to be a budget or a tax problem?
if we go to $100 per ton in revenue, and this is from July to December of '25, our revenue would have increased $43,000, almost 46,000, and that would cover the other half of the employee. Okay,
Okay.
and that's only a 6-month period. So you're talking another 30% of the second full-time employee.
So yeah, from the board chair, I like to see this portion of your operation more of an enterprise fund and self-supported.
Right.
And I think that the $20 per ton is probably about its max without getting a bunch of feedback from the public. Of course, they're not gonna like it anyway, but we have to look out for the Bremer County taxpayer and because not everybody uses it.
Correct, it's a
You know.
convenience center.
We get people in all the time that thought it closed when the landfill closed. They're going, oh. So now we see them more and more.
Yep.
But I think that's as far as the biggest increase we can go without.
Do you know roughly, maybe you or maybe Corey would know this too, asphalt shingles, how much does a typical 1,500 square foot house roof generate for tonnage?
That depends on the shingle. If you get a
I just
cheap,
want an average, just
you're looking at
1 ton, 4 ton?
$100 or 100 pounds per bundle. So 15 times
That's 100.
3 is 45 times 100. So you're 5,000 pounds already.
But that's new per bundle, because by the time it's gone through 20, 30 years of usage, it's down to half that probably.
If you can get a shingle to last 30 years anymore. Yeah. And from the same time period last year, from July to March 31st, we are up 47 ton from what we were a year ago.
If we approve this today, you'll put signage up immediately so that there'll be time for people to digest it before
Yep.
July 1st.
That's the reason we're here today, to bring this all up we have to do it. I mean, I don't want to do it, but we have to increase it in order to get our numbers back in line where they should be. And, you know, in customers right now, they weigh the numbers, but it's going to take them 2 more hours plus the fuel and everything else to go to Blackhawk. And they know it's a convenience and they want to keep it here, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think, we move forward with it, and I think next April 1st, we should review again what the perception was of the increase and consider another increase at that point, so we stay with it, don't allow ourselves to get out so far without an increase going forward. And our revenues will be a little skewed because of the hail damage last year.
Yep.
You know, that's probably tapering off this spring, but we should still be able to establish some kind of a trend line next year at this time to see what the effects of it were.
Yeah, shingle season's just starting right now, so last week we've seen it start to pick up, and that's gonna be the ones that got pushed off from the hail
think
damage last year. That the
I
roof,
call for the question, Mr. Chair.
Alrighty. We are gonna act on the increase from $80 to $100. All in favor of that increase, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
And the chair votes aye. That has been approved, so you got your task, get that notification out, make sure people know about it before July 1st. So good.
okay?
Departmental updates.
Okay, before you have the sheets, I guess last time I was in here in December, I must not have given them to you because I had all of the sheets. Just shows you where we were and are and our expenses, you know, through Blackhawk County. And like I said before, we're up 47 ton over a year ago, same time period. That's general information I always bring. Okay, I'm gonna read this part. So if you have any questions over those sheets.
No.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep, winter time's always slow, so.
Good.
Then we can, ready to move forward?
Yep.
Okay, we'll talk about the Iowa DNR in HLW, there seems to be a little discrepancy on the rules and whatnot, and after having a meeting, telephone conversation, or not telephone, computer, last week, it's determined that the Iowa DNR is going to, did you share any of this with these guys?
I think I briefed them, yes.
Okay. We're gonna have a meeting 11 o'clock on April 23rd.
And this is regarding some wells and gas venting with the DNR and just HLW. Is reading the law one way, DNR is a little bit more prescriptive.
Yes. Okay, so that's what brought our online meeting, and it's been determined, based on the evidence provided by HLW, it was determined that the MW 108A and MW 110A were supplemental wells and do not need to be sampled, which it was previously mentioned that we're gonna have to sample them forever. That was misspoke by one of the DNR guys. Previous requirements to continue sampling may be disregarded, and sampling of the wells MW3, 4 may be suspended until fall of 26. They suspended the water testing due to the inspection of the grounds to make sure that the grounds are being maintained, and they look at everything, and their most important part of this is the methane gas detection in the scale house and the shop, which I don't see how the shop could ever have gas in it, because the landfill's here, we have a retention pond, and it's built on the other side of the retention pond. It's really not actually on the landfill property anyway. So our only concern is the scale house, because there was a county, I believe it was Sioux County, that did the same thing. They built on top of garbage, and methane gas got up, and it affected 2 employees, and could affect them lifelong, the way I understand it. So that's why the big concern of the gas monitoring. So I have talked to Brett Betty, and he assured me that the building, when that building was built, it was built the way the mandate set it to be. So it was garbage, rock, vents. The vent tubes are still in there, and they're open. Then there was vapor barrier, and then insulation, and then it was cemented. Okay, we have, our sheetrock is cracked, so we know the building is settling, so the cement is probably cracked as well. Can the methane gas come up? Yes. It's been monitored before, and we haven't had any issues. It could happen any time, and it may never happen. But that's what the DNR's big concern about the gas is. We can put in a permanent monitor. When I say permanent, it's still going to have to be tested or recalibrated every 3 months, every quarter.
Is it like radon, where there's a mitigation system that you can put in if you do detect gas?
I don't believe so. I don't know if there's a vent, a type of vent, I mean, when we had gas on the landfill, we put in pipes, and then there's spinners on the top to suck that out of there. I don't know if there is something that can be attached to those vent pipes that are under the scale house to blow that out. I'm not sure of that. But it's definitely a question to ask the DNR when they're here, because there will be 3 of those guys. At least HLW will be there, I'll be there, I've asked Bob to be there, and you guys are invited. When there's more than one of you, then it's a meeting. But I think the influence would help, because if everything goes good, it'll save us $20,000 for 11 years. That's $220,000. So, and inspection goes good. We plug the wells, never to be tested again. And we're done with that phase, and then they'll grant the covenant, all of that, so. So it is a really important meeting.
And we're still considering moving our convenience center to 63. Is that off the table or?
It's pretty much been tabled.
Okay.
Since the courthouse project come up, there was, ARPA dollars were pushed that way, and there's just, there is no funding for that at this time.
It's, when we looked at it before, it would be most likely be lost spending out of the new laws, but we were still so heavily into the courthouse project at that point, had so many unknowns that we weren't ready to move forward with it. We had done some initial cost estimates 2 years ago, and weren't we like just over $1 million, Tim, I believe, with like a new site?
Yeah, it was $1,050,000, and
Yeah.
then you have to add the 20% here and there. So basically
Right.
1.2.
Yeah, that's the number I had in my head, was about 1.2, so I think it's something it still needs to be out there as capital projects moving forward, if we piece it together over a couple of years or how we do it, but I don't have the stomach to do debt service to accomplish it. It would have to be one of those where we could use some lost money here and there to piece it together.
You know, though, Corey, maybe that's something that should be considered in the future, is look at the potential for debt services, because that way it's a better way for the public to weigh in on it, because if you put it to a vote of people and they approve it, it's a pretty good indication that you're on the right track, so.
We already did do that survey, so we have some good feedback there.
In retrospect, I really wish that's what we would have done with the courthouse, honestly, because that way, people would have either gotten behind it or they've gotten in opposition, and it would give us a lot better direction.
Well, we'll be coming in 3 years. We'll be coming off we have 3 years left to pay on the 911 project. This would be a much smaller project, so maybe we tear down and look, start planning now, but maybe that's how we handle it, do we?
Bob shaking his head and smiling.
Well, I don't think it'd ever pass, because it's a convenience center, so it's, you have people who get rallied behind it, but from a business perspective, getting it off a gravel road to a hard surface road, makes sense to me.
And that's one of the biggest complaints from people from in town. Now I gotta wash my car. In the springtime, it's always wet.
Yeah, but the biggest
Just part of
complaint
it.
from the rural user is, or the rural resident, is they gotta constantly be picking up everybody else's trash.
Yep.
That is a reality.
Yep.
Waverly to the turnoff going there is terrible.
Yep, and we
From
have,
time to time, not always, but
and we've really buckled down on the
I
tar.
know you have. It's not our fault. It's not your fault.
No,
But
No, a lot of we enforce the coverage, you have to have coverage and stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
no matter how you cover it, paper, plastic is
Yeah.
gonna get sucked out. And
Yep. There's people that they just don't pay any attention to that, and we see them time after time again. That $5 fine don't mean anything to them, because they're not gonna target.
But to Bob's point,
But
if citizens wouldn't support it and it is a convenience, why should I, as a representative of the citizens, vote to spend those dollars? I mean, it goes both ways too, so.
Yeah, it's just that like Waverly has a convenience center. I mean, we don't have to hazardous waste.
Well, you can't take your shingles there, you can't take your bed mattresses there, you can't, and that's why
Yeah.
we're there. We're taking the things that your dump truck don't take.
I think we're on the right track by having fees cover the cost. Well, and I think Bob's point there about running it as an enterprise goes a lot further. So, if maybe that can get good enough to where that can also pay for an amount of a new facility as well, so then it's more doable.
Good. Alrighty.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes, one more thing. Last time I was in here, I reported that I didn't think the tire fund balance was quite right. I got with Cassandra and she found some paperwork and we went upstairs to the treasurer's office. I got all this information and we figured it out that due to a clerical error and misunderstanding on my part when I was trained to do my job, I put the money into the demolition charge accounts. So that money has to come out of there and go back to the tires. Then that'll make the tire fund the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
So then the numbers will all be correct. So it's
How
not
much money is there?
It was a little over 3,000.
$3,482.
And it's all within his fund, it's just,
Yeah.
different revenue lines, and it's just gonna be a simple journal entry.
Okay, so it's between you two,
Yep.
it's no supervisors.
It's not gonna be a fund transfer, it's just a journal entry to correct, so.
I just brought it up because I brought it up
What you
before.
learn,
so-
finding the error.
Yeah.
We
Well-
learn every day.
It's a process that I did and I wasn't aware of that I was doing wrong. And,
We'll make sure it's documented for the next person and,
so yeah, well, now we do tires completely different. All the tires are separate. They're not included. If they come in your load and you wanna get rid of it, you're either gonna have to go down and get rid of it and come back and then weigh. They're completely separate. That way the mistake cannot be made again.
good.
So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. That's so.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye.